The sky above New York turned dark at exactly 3 in the afternoon. Not from clouds or storms, but from ships. Massive alien ships, each one larger than any building humanity had ever built. They hung in the air like dead metal moons, blocking out the sun. Maria Santos stood in Times Square with thousands of others, all staring up at the impossible sight. Her phone buzzed in her hand. Every screen around her flickered and changed. The advertisement boards, the phones, even her smartwatch all showed the same thing now. A face appeared. It was not human. The creature had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on its elongated head. Its skin looked like polished stone, dark purple and gray. When it spoke, the words came in perfect English, but also in every other language on Earth at the same time. Humans of Earth, the alien said. Its voice was deep and cold. I am Hierarch Vexthar, Supreme Commander of the Genkar Hegemony. Your world has been chosen for integration into our empire. You have 72 hours to accept our mercy. Maria felt her legs go weak. Around her, people started crying. Some screamed. Others just stood frozen like statues. The hierarch continued. You will surrender all weapons. You will dismantle your militaries. You will accept your place as servitor species within our empire. This is not negotiation. This is fact. 600 worlds before you made the wise choice. They live, they serve, they survive. The alien's face moved closer to the camera, filling every screen. Those who refused our mercy learned a hard lesson. Their military forces were destroyed. Their ability to reproduce was taken from them. Their worlds became empty monuments to foolish pride. We give you this choice only once. The transmission ended. The screens went back to normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. Maria looked around at the panicked faces. A woman nearby collapsed. A man shouted at the sky. Children cried in their parents' arms. Far away in Geneva, the United Earth Council met in emergency session. The meeting room was chaos. Representatives from every nation shouted over each other. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others called for resistance. We cannot fight them, the representative from the Asian Federation shouted. Did you see those ships? Our weapons would be like throwing rocks at tanks. So we just give up? The African Union delegate fired back. Let them make us slaves? Better slaves than extinct. Someone else yelled. The president of the United Earth Council, Catherine Zhang, slammed her hand on the table. The sound echoed through the room. Everyone went quiet. Admiral Okonkwo, Zhang said quietly. I think it's time. A woman in a dark military uniform stood up from the back of the room. Admiral Victoria Okonkwo was 53 years old, with gray streaks in her black hair and scars on her hands from years of service. She walked to the front of the room slowly, her face showing no emotion. What you're about to hear is classified at the highest level, Okonkwo said. Only 17 people on Earth knew about this until today. Project Nightfall has been running for 32 years. She pressed a button. A holographic display appeared above the table, showing the solar system. Small red dots appeared scattered throughout, from Mars' orbit all the way to the distant Oort cloud. These are ships, Okonkwo said. 3,000 of them. We call them the Black Armada. The room erupted again. Representatives jumped to their feet. Secret ships? What madness is this? Where did the funding come from? How did you hide this? Okonkwo waited for them to quiet down. 32 years ago, a small group of military leaders and scientists asked a question. What if we're not alone? What if someone comes and they're not friendly? We decided to prepare. She zoomed in on one of the red dots. A sleek black ship appeared. It looked like a knife made of shadows with no lights, no markings, nothing but darkness. These ships use quantum stealth technology. They're invisible to almost every known detection method. They use fusion drives that can accelerate continuously for months. And they carry kinetic weapons. No lasers, no missiles. Just mass and velocity. Physics as a weapon. The European Union representative leaned forward. Even if this is true, 3,000 ships against their fleet? We're still outmatched. Okonkwo smiled for the first time. It was not a happy smile. We don't plan to fight fair. We've been positioning these ships for years. Some are in the asteroid belt, disguised as rocks. Some are beyond Neptune in deep space. Some are in orbit around Jupiter's moons. The Genkar came expecting to fight Earth's military. They have no idea about the Black Armada. But can we win? Zhang asked. Win? Okonkwo shook her head. Maybe not. But we can make them bleed. We can make them pay a price they've never paid before. We can show them that humans don't kneel. The vote was close. 47 nations voted to fight. 42 voted to surrender. 16 abstained. By the smallest margin in United Earth Council history, humanity chose defiance. Okonkwo stood before a camera 1 hour later. Her message would broadcast to the Genkar fleet and to every human on Earth. Hierarch Vexthar, she said, her voice steady and clear. Humanity has considered your offer. We have reviewed the terms of our surrender. We have calculated the odds of our survival. She paused, looking directly into the camera. And we reject your mercy. We reject your empire. We reject your threat. If you want Earth, come and take it. But know this, every meter of ground will cost you blood. Every human life you take will be paid for with 10 of yours. We may fall, but you will remember the day you tried to make humanity kneel. She ended the transmission with 7 words that would echo through history. Come and take us. We dare you. In orbit above Earth, Hierarch Vexthar watched the human's message. Around him, his commanders laughed. The Hierarch did not laugh. He had conquered 600 worlds. He recognized courage when he saw it. He also recognized foolishness. Begin bombardment protocols, he ordered. Destroy their military installations. Leave the civilians alive. We will need workers. Yes, Hierarch, his second-in-command said. Shall we deploy the full fleet? Vexthar considered. The humans had primitive weapons. Their ships were slow. Their technology was centuries behind the hegemony. There was no logical reason for caution. Deploy 60%, he decided. Keep the rest in reserve. This will be over quickly. The Genkar warships moved into position, their weapons charged, glowing with deadly energy. In 72 hours, this would all be over. Or so they thought. Far beyond Neptune, in the cold darkness of space, 3,000 black ships received their activation codes. Fusion reactors that had been dormant for years roared to life, stealth systems engaged, weapons armed. Admiral Okonkwo sat in the command chair of the UESN Defiant, the flagship of the Black Armada. Around her, hundreds of crew members worked at their stations. No one spoke unnecessarily. They all knew what was coming. All ships report ready, Admiral, her tactical officer said. Good, Okonkwo replied. She opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Admiral Okonkwo to all Black Armada vessels. The enemy believes we are primitives. They believe this will be easy. Let's teach them why you should never underestimate humans. All ships begin approach. Silent running. Attack pattern Omega. Make every shot. Count. 3,000 ships began moving through the darkness, silent, invisible, deadly. Humanity's secret weapon was about to strike. The countdown to war reached 0. The battle for Earth had begun. The first Genkar bombardment hit Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado at dawn. The beam came from orbit, silent and invisible until it struck. The entire base vanished in a flash of white light. 3,000 personnel died in an instant. They never knew what hit them. Around the world, military installations disappeared one after another. Naval bases, Army headquarters, Air Force stations. The Genkar weapons were precise, surgical. They avoided cities. They avoided civilians. They only wanted to destroy Earth's ability to fight back. General Marcus Hayes watched from NORAD's backup command center, buried deep inside a mountain. His screens showed red crosses appearing across the map of Earth. Each cross was a destroyed base. Each cross represented thousands of dead soldiers. Sir, we've lost 60% of our surface forces, his aide reported. The bombardment is continuing. Hayes clenched his fists. His own main command center was probably already gone. These aliens were efficient killers, but they had made one mistake. They assumed Earth's military was all on the surface. They assumed humans had no hidden cards to play. Send the signal, Hayes ordered. Tell Okonkwo she's cleared to engage. And may God help us all. In orbit, Hierarch Vexthar watched the destruction with satisfaction. The humans had fired missiles, launched fighters, tried everything. Nothing reached his ships. Their weapons were too primitive. Their tactics were predictable. This would be over by nightfall. Hierarch, his sensor officer said. The humans have gone quiet. No more attacks. They've given up, Vexthar said. Send landing forces to major cities. Begin processing the population for servitor status. Yes, Hierarch. Vexthar allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. 601 worlds now. The humans had been brave, but bravery without power was just noise. He turned to review the landing protocols. The sensor officer's console suddenly screamed an alarm. Hierarch, multiple impacts on the rear fleet. Ships 300 through 320 reporting critical damage. Vexthar spun around. Impossible. Where did the attack come from? Unknown, Hierarch. Kinetic impacts, massive velocity, but we detected no launch, no approach, nothing. On the tactical display, 20 of Vexthar's ships were suddenly red. Dead or dying. Something had hit them from behind at incredible speed. But his sensors showed nothing. No ships. No missiles, nothing. Full sensor sweep. Find them! Scanning, Hierarch, but there's nothing. Whatever hit us is gone. Vexthar's blood ran cold. An enemy you couldn't see was the most dangerous enemy of all. Captain James Chen watched the tactical display aboard his ship, the UESN Revenant. His first strike had been perfect. 20 alien ships destroyed by kinetic kill vehicles that had been launched 3 months ago, accelerating silently through space until they hit .3 light speed. The aliens never saw them coming. Reload times? He asked his weapons officer. 8 minutes for the next salvo, Captain. Too slow. Helm, bring us around. Pattern Delta 5. Use the moon's gravity. Aye, Captain. The Revenant was not like Earth's old military ships. It was designed for one purpose: to kill enemies who were stronger, faster, and more advanced. Its hull was black as space itself, coated in quantum stealth materials that bent sensor waves around it. Its reactor could run cold, producing almost no heat signature. And it could accelerate continuously for days without stopping. Chen had trained for this mission for 10 years. He knew every trick, every tactic. The Genkar had technology, but humans had something better: desperation and creativity. Approaching lunar orbit now, Captain. Good. Once we slingshot around, we'll emerge on their starboard flank. 20-second attack window. Make it count. The Revenant dove toward the moon, using its gravity to whip around at incredible speed. It emerged exactly where Chen wanted, behind a cluster of Genkar cruisers. His ship fired a spread of kinetic penetrators. Simple tungsten rods accelerated to ridiculous speeds. 3 alien ships exploded. 4 more took critical damage, and before the Genkar could react, the Revenant was gone, diving away into the darkness of space. That's 27 enemy ships destroyed or disabled, Chen said with grim satisfaction. All ships report status. Across the solar system, the Black Armada was striking from every direction. The Genkar fleet was in chaos. Their sensors couldn't track the human ships. Their weapons couldn't lock on, and every few minutes another cluster of ships would die in fire and vacuum. Commander Sarah Winters commanded a squadron of 12 stealth ships hidden in the asteroid belt. Her mission was different from Chen's. She wasn't there to kill. She was there to terrify. Broadcasting now, her communications officer said. Every Genkar ship suddenly received a transmission. It showed human soldiers in battle. Not staged propaganda, but real combat footage from Earth's bloodiest wars. Soldiers fighting to the last bullet. Pilots crashing their planes into enemy positions. Marines charging into certain death rather than surrender. Winter's voice accompanied the footage. She spoke in the Genkar language, which human intelligence had deciphered years ago. You believe you know war, she said. You believe you understand sacrifice. You don't. Humans have been killing each other for 10,000 years. We've perfected the art of death. Every tactic you think is too cruel, we've already used. Every weapon you think is too terrible, we've already built. And now you've given us a reason to unite. All of humanity's rage, all of our violence, all of our hatred, focused on one target: you. The footage showed nuclear explosions, chemical weapons, soldiers fighting hand-to-hand in trenches. The message was clear. Humans were not civilized. They were barely controlled savages who happened to have technology. You can still leave, Winters continued. You can retreat. Tell your empire that Earth is too expensive, too dangerous, too insane to conquer. Or you can stay and learn why human mothers tell their children stories about monsters in the dark. Because we are those monsters. The transmission ended. Winters smiled coldly. Psychological warfare was just as important as actual warfare. Make the enemy afraid. Make them doubt. Make them hesitate. On the Hierarch's flagship, Vexthar watched the human broadcast with growing anger. Around him, his crew was silent. Some looked shaken. The humans were trying to frighten them. It was working. Ignore their propaganda, Vexthar ordered. Focus on locating their ships. They must be visible when they attack. Hierarch, we've lost 43 ships in the last hour, and we still haven't located their main fleet. 43 ships. That was more than the hegemony had lost in the last 50 years of conquest combined. These humans were making fools of them. Deploy hunter-killer squadrons. Use active scanning, full spectrum. If their ships are out there, find them. But finding the Black Armada was like finding shadows in the dark. The human ships moved constantly, never staying in one place. They attacked from unexpected angles, using planets and moons for cover. They struck and vanished before the Genkar could respond. Lieutenant Commander Rachel Kim commanded a single ship, the UESN Ghost. Her specialty was close-range attacks. She brought her ship within 10 kilometers of a Genkar dreadnought, so close that the aliens' own sensors couldn't distinguish her from space debris. Firing, her weapons officer whispered. A single kinetic penetrator launched at point-blank range. It punched through the dreadnought's hull like a bullet through paper, straight into their reactor core. The ship exploded from the inside out, a miniature sun burning bright for 3 seconds before going dark forever. One shot, one kill, Kim said. That's how we do it. Next target. By the end of the first day, the Genkar had lost 92 ships. The humans reported only 7 losses, and most of those were from taking risks, pushing too hard, getting too close. Hierarch Vexthar stared at his casualty reports in disbelief. 92 ships. The humans were primitives. They couldn't even travel faster than light yet. How are they doing this? His second-in-command approached carefully. Hierarch, I recommend we withdraw and regroup. We need to analyze their tactics, develop countermeasures. For the first time in his life, Vexthar considered retreat. The hegemony never retreated. They were always the hunters, never the prey. But these humans had turned his fleet into targets. Prepare for withdrawal, he said quietly. All ships fall back to Rally Point Sigma, maximum speed. The order spread through the Genkar fleet. Ships began breaking formation, turning away from Earth, accelerating toward the outer solar system. They had come to conquer. Now they were running. Admiral Okonkwo watched the alien retreat from her command chair. Her tactical officer cheered. Others joined in. They had done it. They had driven off the invaders, but Okonkwo did not cheer. She knew this battle was only beginning. Tactical, plot their retreat course. All ships pursue. Attack pattern Omega-3. We're not letting them escape to regroup. If they want to run, they'll run through a gauntlet. Admiral, they're retreating. We won. Okonkwo's face was hard. We won this round. But if we let them escape, they'll come back with more ships, better tactics, and knowledge of our capabilities. No. We end this now. We chase them to the edge of the solar system and we make them bleed for every kilometer. The Black Armada turned to pursue. The hunters had become the hunted. And humanity was not interested in mercy. The chase across the solar system became a nightmare for the Genkar fleet. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid became a potential ambush point. The humans knew this territory. They had lived here all their lives. The Genkar were strangers in a hostile land. Captain James Chen positioned his squadron near Jupiter. The massive planet's gravity and radiation made sensor readings unreliable. Perfect for an ambush. 4 enemy cruisers approaching, his sensor officer reported. They're using Jupiter's gravity to accelerate. Standard slingshot maneuver. Let them commit, Chen said. Wait until they're in the gravity well. Then we strike. The Genkar ships dove toward Jupiter, picking up speed as the planet's gravity pulled them in. At their closest approach, traveling at maximum velocity, Chen's squadron struck. 8 human ships emerged from hiding spots among Jupiter's moons. They had been waiting there for hours. Reactors cold, systems minimal. Now they lit up like angry hornets. Kinetic weapons fired in a coordinated spread. There was nowhere for the aliens to dodge. They were trapped by gravity and momentum. 3 Genkar cruisers died instantly. The 4th managed to fire back, but its beam weapons only hit empty space where the human ships had been seconds before. A final kinetic round punched through its command deck. The ship tumbled away dead in space. 4 more down, Chen reported to Admiral Okonkwo. We're moving to the next ambush point. Acknowledged, Revenant. Good hunting, but not all battles went so well. Commander David Torres brought his ship, the UESN Hammer, too close to a Genkar battleship. The aliens' point defense systems came alive, shredding the Hammer's hull with dozens of small projectiles. Torres managed to fire one last shot before his ship exploded, taking the battleship with him. 23 crew members died on the Hammer. They joined the growing list of human casualties. This war was not one-sided. The Genkar were learning. They were adapting. and they were angry. Hierarch Vexithar watched his fleet shrink day by day. They had retreated to the asteroid belt, hoping to use the rocks for cover. It was the worst mistake they could have made. Hierarch, his tactical officer said nervously, I recommend we move out of the asteroid belt immediately. Why? The asteroids provide cover from their attacks. Yes, Hierarch, but they also provide cover for the humans. We don't know which asteroids are real and which might be their ships. Vexthar was about to respond when every alarm on the bridge screamed at once. The asteroid they were passing wasn't an asteroid. It was a human ship covered in rock and ice. It had been waiting there for days. The UESN Avalanche unfolded from its camouflage and fired at point-blank range. Its captain, Maria Vasquez, had spent 6 days hiding inside a hollowed-out asteroid, waiting for exactly this opportunity. Her shot crippled the Hierarch's flagship, destroying its main engines. All ships, emergency maneuvers, Vexthar shouted. But it was too late. Throughout the asteroid belt, dozens of similar ambushes triggered. Human ships that had disguised themselves as rocks suddenly revealed themselves. It was a massacre. The Genkar lost 31 ships in the asteroid belt before they managed to escape. The Hierarch's flagship limped away on auxiliary power, trailing debris. Far from the fighting, Commander Sarah Winters was conducting a very different mission. Her team had captured a damaged Genkar supply ship. Inside, they found 3 survivors, including General Thexoran, a mid-ranking commander in the Hegemony fleet. Winters sat across from the alien in the interrogation room. The general was wounded but alive. Its 4 eyes watched her with a mixture of hatred and fear. I will tell you nothing, human, Thexoran said. I'm not going to torture you, Winters replied. Torture rarely gives good information. Instead, I'm going to show you something. She activated a screen. It showed Earth from space, blue and beautiful. Then it zoomed into cities. Millions of people going about their lives. Children playing. Old people sitting in parks. Normal life. This is what you came to take, Winters said. These are the people you wanted to make into slaves. Thexoran said nothing. Winters changed the image. Now it showed the ruins of military bases. Craters where installations had been. Graves being dug for thousands of soldiers. This is what you did. You killed our defenders. You destroyed our protectors. And you thought we would just surrender. She leaned forward. But here's what you didn't understand about humans. We don't surrender. We don't kneel. And when you threaten our families, we become something worse than your worst nightmare. We become creative. She showed footage of the battles. Genkar ships exploding. The ambushes in the asteroid belt. The constant, relentless attacks. Your empire has conquered 600 worlds.
How many of them fought back like this?
Thexoran finally spoke. None. All submitted after the first battle. They saw our power and made the logical choice. Exactly. You've never fought a real war, have you? You've only ever fought first battles. You overwhelm the enemy, they surrender, and it's over. You have no experience with prolonged conflict. You have no plans for extended campaigns. Your logistics aren't built for a war of attrition. The general's eyes widened slightly. Winters knew she had hit a nerve. Tell me I'm wrong, Winters said. Thexoran was silent for a long moment. Then quietly, the hegemony has not fought a war lasting more than 1 planetary rotation in 4 centuries. Our doctrine assumes rapid conquest. If resistance continues beyond the initial engagement, we have no procedures, Winters smiled grimly. That's what I thought. You're not warriors. You're bullies. And bullies don't know what to do when someone hits back. She stood up. I'm going to send you back to your hierarch. I want you to tell him something. Tell him that humans can fight like this for years. Decades, generations if we have to. Tell him every day he stays in our solar system, more of his ships will die, and eventually he'll run out of ships before we run out of ways to kill them. 3 days later, General Thexoran was released in an escape pod that drifted toward the Genkar fleet. The general's message reached Hierarch Vexthar within hours. The hierarch read it in silence. The general's report was detailed and damning. The hegemony fleet was not equipped for this kind of warfare. Their supply lines were too long. Their ships were designed for quick battles, not sustained combat. They were losing ships faster than they could repair them, and the humans showed no signs of stopping. Opinion? Vexthar asked his council. We should withdraw completely, his logistics officer said. Return to hegemony space, resupply, and come back with a proper invasion force. By the time we return, the humans will have had months to prepare further, another officer argued. They'll mine the entire solar system. They'll build more of those invisible ships. It will be even worse. So what do you suggest? That we stay here and continue losing ships? The council dissolved into argument. Vexthar listened to them fight. For the first time in his career, he felt something he had never felt before. Doubt. The hegemony had conquered 600 worlds. But those worlds had been peaceful, unprepared, or simply too afraid to fight. Earth was different. These humans were insane. They fought like every battle was their last. They took risks that made no tactical sense. And somehow it worked. Hierarch, his communication officer, interrupted. Incoming transmission from the human fleet. On screen, Admiral Okonkwo appeared. She looked tired but determined. Hierarch Vexthar, I'm going to make this simple. You've lost over 200 ships since you entered our solar system. We've lost 37. Those are not good odds for you. You cannot defeat the entire hegemony, Vexthar replied. We have thousands of ships. I don't need to defeat the entire hegemony. I just need to make conquering Earth too expensive. How will your empire react when you return and explain that you lost a quarter of your fleet trying to take one primitive world? What will the other subject species think? What will they do? Vexthar's blood ran cold. She was right. If word spread that the mighty hegemony had been defeated by primitives, it could spark rebellions across the empire. The carefully maintained image of invincibility would shatter. I'm going to make you an offer, Okonkwo continued. Leave our solar system now. Never come back. In return, we won't chase you. We won't spread word of your defeat. As far as the galaxy is concerned, you decided Earth wasn't worth the trouble and moved on. Your reputation stays intact. And if we refuse? Okonkwo's expression hardened. Then we turn this solar system into your grave. Every single one of your ships will die here. And we'll make sure every species in the galaxy knows that the Zenkar hegemony was destroyed by primitive humans. Your empire will collapse in civil war within a year. The transmission ended. Vexthar sat in his command chair, thinking. The humans had backed him into a corner. He could retreat and save his fleet, or he could fight on and risk total destruction. Prepare for withdrawal, he finally said. All ships set course for hegemony space. Maximum speed, his officers looked shocked. Hierarch, we're retreating? We're making a strategic decision, Vexthar corrected. The humans are correct. This world is too expensive to conquer. We will report that Earth's defensive capabilities make it an unsuitable target for integration. But as he gave the order, Vexthar was already planning. The humans had won this battle. But the war wasn't over. The hegemony would return. And next time they would be ready. Admiral Okonkwo watched the Zenkar fleet begin its retreat toward the edge of the solar system. Her crew was celebrating. They thought the war was over. She knew better. Admiral, they're leaving, her communications officer shouted. We did it! Not yet, Okonkwo said quietly. Tactical, what's their heading? Beyond Neptune, Admiral. They're heading for deep space. Okonkwo pulled up star charts. If the Zenkar escaped, they would return to their empire. They would report what happened. And even if they claimed Earth was too expensive, other hegemony commanders might disagree. They might come back with bigger fleets, better tactics, and a determination to make an example of humanity. Plot an intercept course, Okonkwo ordered. We're going after them. Her second-in-command, Captain Rodriguez, looked shocked. Admiral, they're retreating. We won. Why risk more lives? Because if we let them go, this was all for nothing. They need to believe Earth is untouchable. That means we chase them down and hurt them so badly they never want to come back. That's suicide. They still outnumber us 3-1. Then we'll have to be 3 times as clever. Okonkwo opened a channel to the entire fleet. All Black Armada vessels, this is your admiral. The enemy is retreating, but our mission isn't complete. We're going to pursue them to the heliopause. We're going to hit them so hard that the Zenkar will tell stories about Earth for 1,000 years. Stories that keep them away forever. She paused, letting her words sink in. I won't lie to you. Some of us won't come back. But our sacrifice will buy Earth the time it needs to prepare for the next threat. Our sacrifice will make sure our children grow up free. All ships form up for pursuit. Maximum speed. 600 ships of the Black Armada turned toward the outer solar system. They left the rest to defend Earth in case this was a trick. 600 ships against nearly 1,000 Zenkar vessels. The odds were terrible. But humanity had learned to fight when the odds were terrible. The chase lasted 3 days. The Zenkar fleet couldn't move as fast as the human ships. Their vessels were larger, more powerful, but designed for different purposes. The Black Armada was built for speed and stealth. It closed the distance relentlessly. Captain James Chen led the vanguard. His ship, the Revenant, was the fastest in the fleet. He pushed his engines to the limit, closing to weapons range first. "Sir, we're getting sensor readings on their flagship," his tactical officer said. "The Eternal Throne. It's hanging back, protecting the rear of their fleet." "That's where the hierarch is," Chen said. "If we can take out their leader, the rest might collapse. But that ship is massive. We need the entire fleet for this." "Admiral Okonkwo is 3 hours behind us, sir," Chen thought fast. 3 hours was too long. The Genkar would reach the heliopause and jump to faster-than-light speed. They would escape. We can't wait. "All ships in Vanguard, attack pattern Delta 9. We're going to slow them down until the Admiral arrives. 40 human ships against the Genkar rearguard." It was insane. It was also necessary. The Revenant led the charge. Chen's squadron hit the enemy fleet like a hammer. They focused on engines and propulsion systems, not trying to destroy ships but to cripple them, slow them down. The Genkar fought back desperately. Beam weapons carved through space. Missiles filled the void. 3 human ships died in the first minute, but Chen's plan worked. The Genkar fleet slowed, turning to protect their damaged vessels. That gave Okonkwo the time she needed. The main human fleet arrived like an avenging angel. "All ships concentrate fire on the Eternal Throne," Okonkwo ordered. "Everything we have now." 600 ships opened fire at once. The Eternal Throne's shields lit up like a small sun, absorbing massive amounts of kinetic energy. But the Black Armada didn't stop firing. They poured shot after shot into those shields, overwhelming them through sheer volume of fire. The shields failed. Kinetic penetrators tore into the Eternal Throne's hull. Armor plating shattered. Internal explosions rippled through the massive ship. But it didn't die. The flagship was too large, too well armored. It would take hours of sustained fire to destroy it completely. "Admiral, the hierarch is activating something," the sensor officer shouted. Massive energy buildup inside the Eternal Throne. I've never seen readings like this." Okonkwo's blood ran cold. She knew what this was. Every species had them. Doomsday weapons, last resort options. If you couldn't win, you made sure the enemy didn't either. "All ships, emergency retreat." Maximum speed away from the Eternal Throne. But it was too late for everyone. The closest ships couldn't escape in time. Okonkwo watched in horror as the numbers appeared on her screen. Detonation radius 10 million kilometers. Ships inside that radius 234. Inside the Eternal Throne, Hierarch Vexthar stood on his damaged bridge. Fires burned around him. His crew was dead or dying. The humans had beaten him. They had done the impossible. And now he would make sure they paid for it. "Activate the quantum cascade device," he ordered. "Set it to maximum yield." His second-in-command, bleeding from multiple wounds, looked at him in shock. "Hierarch, that will kill us." "It will kill everything nearby." "Yes, but it will also kill them. These humans must not be allowed to survive. If word spreads that they defeated us, the entire hegemony will fall. Better we all die here than let that happen." The quantum cascade device activated. It was a weapon that collapsed space-time itself, creating a temporary tear in reality. Everything nearby would be pulled into it and destroyed at the atomic level. It took 60 seconds to reach full power. Colonel Marcus Webb led a desperate mission. His team of 30 Marines had been launched toward the Eternal Throne in boarding pods before the retreat order. They were inside the alien flagship now, fighting their way toward the weapon. 30 seconds to detonation. His technical specialist, Lieutenant Sarah Park, shouted. They were running through the ship's corridors, killing any Genkar who got in their way. "Can you disable it?" Webb shouted back. "Maybe, but I need time." They burst onto the bridge. Hierarch Vexthar stood there, surrounded by the last of his guards. He looked at Webb with his 4 alien eyes, and Webb saw something there he recognized. Determination. The will to see your mission through no matter the cost. "You're too late, human," Vexthar said. "In 20 seconds we all die." Webb raised his weapon but didn't fire. "Why, you're beaten. Just surrender. We'll let you live." "Live as what? A prisoner? A warning? A lesson for other species?" Vexthar's voice was bitter. "No, the hegemony does not surrender. We do not kneel. We do not beg for mercy." Webb lowered his weapon slightly. "You sound like us." "Perhaps your species and mine are not so different, Colonel Webb. We both refuse to accept defeat. We both fight to the last. The difference is you won. 15 seconds, Park shouted. Webb made a decision. He grabbed Park and threw her toward the boarding pod. Everyone out, now. That's an order. Sir, we can disable it. Park protested. No time. Go, get out of range. His Marines retreated, grabbing Park and dragging her away. Webb stayed. He looked at Vexthar. I could shoot you, Webb said, but you won't, because you understand. Vexthar moved to a panel. I'm disabling the flagship's engines. My ship will drift while the device detonates. Your fleet can escape. Why? Because this is not about hatred. This is about duty. I will complete my mission and prevent the hegemony's fall. You will complete yours and protect your people. We are both soldiers, Colonel. We both know what must be done. Webb nodded slowly. 5 seconds. It has been an honor facing you, humans. You are worthy enemies. Same to you, Hierarch. The quantum cascade device reached full power. Space-time tore open. The Eternal Throne and everything within 10 million kilometers was pulled into the tear. It lasted 3 seconds. When it collapsed, there was nothing left. No debris, no radiation, just empty space where 234 human ships and the Hierarch's flagship had been. Admiral Okonkwo watched from the Defiant, safely beyond the detonation radius. She had saved 400 ships, but she had lost 234, 15,000 human lives. Gone in an instant, Admiral, her communications officer said quietly. We're receiving a transmission. It's from Colonel Webb, recorded before. Okonkwo closed her eyes. Play it. Webb's face appeared on screen. He looked calm. Admiral, by the time you see this, I'll be dead. I stayed behind to give the fleet time to escape. The Hierarch activated a doomsday weapon. I couldn't stop it, but I can make sure his death means something. He looked directly at the camera. Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them we beat the hegemony. Tell them we made the aliens bleed. And tell them to stay ready, because there are more threats out there. But if we can beat them, we can beat anyone. Webb out, the transmission ended. The bridge was silent. Finally, Okonkwo spoke. Set course for Earth, we're going home. The Black Armada limped home. 400 ships returned from 600. They were damaged, low on fuel and carrying the weight of 15,000 dead. But they were victorious. They had driven the Genkar away. They had proven that humanity would not kneel. Admiral Okonkwo stood at the viewport of the Defiant, watching Earth grow larger as they approached. The blue planet looked peaceful from here. Beautiful. It was hard to believe that just days ago, alien warships had been preparing to enslave everyone down there. Admiral, Captain Rodriguez said quietly, the United Earth Council is requesting you address the planet when we arrive. What should I tell them? The truth. We won, we survived. And we paid a terrible price for it, Okonkwo nodded. The truth. The people of Earth deserved that much. 2 days later, the Black Armada entered Earth orbit. The planet erupted in celebration. Every city, every town, every village celebrated their survival. But in the military command centers, in the government offices, the mood was more somber. The leaders knew what Okonkwo knew. This was just the beginning. The memorial service for the fallen was held in Geneva. 15,000 names were read aloud, one by one. It took 14 hours. Okonkwo stood through all of it, refusing to sit, refusing to rest. These people had died under her command. The least she could do was honor every single name. When the last name was read, she stepped to the podium to address the gathered crowd and the billions watching across Earth. 3 weeks ago, an alien empire came to our world and demanded we surrender. They told us to kneel or die. They believed we were primitives. They believed we had no choice but to submit. They were wrong. She paused, looking out at the faces. So many families, so many people who had lost someone. We lost 15,000 defenders in this war. 15,000 people who chose to stand and fight rather than kneel. They died in the darkness of space, far from home, facing an enemy that outnumbered them. But they died free, and their sacrifice bought us victory. Okonkwo's voice grew stronger. The Genkar hegemony will not return. We hurt them too badly. We showed them that humans are not slaves. We are not victims. We are survivors. We are fighters. And we will defend our freedom with everything we have. She looked directly into the camera, but we must remember this lesson. We are not alone in the universe. There are other empires out there, other threats. The Genkar were just the first. We must be ready for whoever comes next. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. That's why, effective immediately, the Black Armada will no longer be secret. It will become Earth's primary defense force. We will expand it. We will improve it. We will make sure that any species who looks at Earth and thinks about conquest will remember what happened to the Genkar. They will remember that humans do not kneel. The applause started slowly, then built to a roar. Okonkwo stepped away from the podium. She had said what needed to be said. Now came the hard part. Rebuilding, preparing, and making sure humanity was never caught unprepared again. 3 months later, Okonkwo stood in a very different place. The wreckage of the Genkar fleet had been salvaged. Engineers and scientists were studying the alien technology, learning from it, adapting it. The debris field in Earth's orbit had become a massive construction zone. "Admiral," her chief engineer said, walking up with a tablet, "we've made a breakthrough with their shield technology. We can't replicate it exactly, but we've developed something similar. In 6 months, we can start installing defensive shields on all Black Armada ships." "Good. What about the other projects? The faster-than-light drive is still beyond us. Their technology is too advanced. But we're making progress. Give us a few years and we might crack it." Okonkwo nodded. Faster-than-light travel would change everything. It would let humanity explore the galaxy, find allies, build relationships with other species. But it would also make them more visible, more vulnerable. Keep me updated on all progress, and increase security. If the Genkar taught us anything, it's that information is power. I don't want our technological advances becoming known to potential enemies. Far across the galaxy, in the heart of the Genkar hegemony, chaos reigned. News of the Hierarch's death had reached the capital. The loss of 300 ships to a single primitive world had sent shockwaves through the Empire. On the conquered worlds, subject species whispered to each other. If humans could resist, why couldn't they? Rebellions started small, a few acts of sabotage. Some refused work orders. Nothing major at first, but it grew. On world after world, the subject species began to push back. The hegemony had built its empire on fear and the illusion of invincibility. Humanity had shattered that illusion. Now the empire was cracking. The hegemony's new leaders tried to suppress the news. They executed anyone caught spreading stories about the Earth campaign. They claimed the Hierarch had died in an accident, that the fleet had been lost to a natural disaster. But the truth spread anyway. Soldiers who had survived the battle talked. Ship crews who had seen the human weapons whispered to each other. The truth could not be contained. Within a year, the Genkar hegemony was fighting 17 different rebellions across its territory. The empire that had stood for centuries began to crumble. On Earth, Okonkwo monitored these developments with mixed feelings. She felt no joy in the collapse of the hegemony. All those rebellions meant more death, more suffering, but it also meant humanity had sparked something important. The galaxy's downtrodden species were learning to fight for their freedom. "Admiral," her intelligence officer reported, "we're receiving communications from several former hegemony worlds. They're asking to establish diplomatic relations with Earth. They want to learn from us. They want to join forces." "How many worlds?" 12 so far. "The number is growing." Okonkwo considered this. Earth could help these species, share technology, offer military advice, build alliances. But it was also a risk. Getting involved in galactic politics could make more enemies. She made her decision. Respond positively but carefully. Tell them we're interested in peaceful relations. We'll share some technology and knowledge. But make it clear we're not building an empire. We're building a coalition of free species who defend each other. "Yes, Admiral." 5 years after the Genkar invasion, Okonkwo stood on a stage at the newly constructed orbital defense station above Earth. Around her were representatives from 47 different alien species, all former subjects of various empires, all now free, all united in a common cause. She addressed them as the First Lord Commander of the Free Stars Coalition. 5 years ago, an empire came to Earth and told us to kneel. We refused. We fought, we bled, and we won. But our fight was never just about Earth. It was about the principle that free beings do not bow to tyrants. The alien representatives listened intently, some translated for their species. Others understood human language perfectly. Today we formalize an alliance that changes the galaxy. The Free Stars Coalition is not an empire. We will not conquer. We will not enslave. We will not force anyone to join us. but we will defend each other. Any species that attacks one of us attacks all of us. Any empire that demands submission will face all of us. She looked out at the gathered species. They were so different. Some breathed methane. Some communicated through color changes. Some were crystalline beings who thought in pure mathematics. But they all shared one thing, the desire to be free. We face an uncertain future. There are still empires out there. Still threats. But we face them together, and together we are stronger than any tyrant. Together we cannot be broken. The applause was strange, a mixture of sounds from dozens of species. Clicks, whistles, harmonic tones, and human clapping all blended together. It was beautiful in its chaos. 10 years after the invasion, Earth had transformed. The planet was now a fortress surrounded by defense stations and shield generators. The Black Armada had grown to 10,000 ships. Humanity had mastered faster-than-light travel and established colonies in nearby star systems. But more importantly, humanity had changed its perspective. They were no longer isolated. They were part of a galactic community. They had friends. They had allies. And they had purpose. Okonkwo, now 73 years old, stood in the memorial park built to honor the 15,000 who had died fighting the Genkar. She came here often, walking among the statues and reading the names carved in stone. A young woman approached her. "Admiral Okonkwo, I'm Lieutenant Sarah Webb. My father was Colonel Marcus Webb." Okonkwo turned to look at the young officer. She could see the resemblance. The same determined eyes. The same set to the jaw. "Your father was a hero," Okonkwo said. "He saved hundreds of lives, I know. I've read his file 1,000 times. Lieutenant Webb paused. "I'm shipping out tomorrow. I've been assigned to the UESN Guardian, patrolling the outer territories. That's good duty. Your father would be proud." "I hope so." Webb looked at the memorial wall where her father's name was carved. "Do you think we'll face another invasion? Another empire trying to conquer us?" Okonkwo considered the question. "Maybe, probably. The galaxy is a dangerous place. But we're ready now. And we're not alone. Your father helped make sure of that." Webb nodded. "Thank you, Admiral." For everything, as the young officer walked away, Okonkwo smiled. This was why they had fought. Not just for themselves, but for the next generation.